Hello everyone and welcome back to In My Opinion. My name is B and here we discuss current events in layman's terms because knowledge is power and you will soon find out that I have an opinion about everything. So we're going to focus on three topics today: stimulus checks, student loan forgiveness, and a super spreader that happened over the weekend. So let's get right into it. One main topic that's heavy on people's minds right now are stimulus checks. People are looking for their money, they're looking by the mailbox, rightfully so, because it was promised to them. Well, we do have some progress. Right now, Democrats and Republicans are in negotiations about the specifics of the COVID relief plan, but we still are moving forward, so that's good. At the moment, there's a back and forth about the amount that should be given for people who receive stimulus checks. Republicans are not wanting to give somebody who earns $200,000 a year and has 3 children a stimulus check because that would overly benefit them, right? But at the same time, Democrats are saying, well, maybe not quite 200,000, but we do have people that make over 100,000 that are still struggling because more money, more problems. So just because they make over 100,000 does not mean that they are financially equipped through this COVID journey. I think they deserve it just as much as everyone else. But Republicans are being stingy and they're like, no. Republicans rather give anybody making $40,000 and under $1,000 stimulus checks. And Democrats would like to give individuals who make under $75,000 a year the $1,400 stimulus check, as well as married couples who make collectively $150,000 a year, $1,400 stimulus check. And they're trying to come to a happy medium, but it seems like Democrats are gearing more towards the Republicans' favor about possibly looking into lowering the income bracket so that everybody and anybody is not receiving a check. So now we're going to listen to a clip from somebody that I love. You guys might know him as the Mitten Man from the inauguration, Bernie Sanders, but he is way more than that. He actually marched for Martin Luther King. He was in the fight for racial equality years ago. He's been dragged by the police. He's been in the good fight with us for a long time. So you guys will hear me bring him up quite a bit because I value his opinion a lot. He had an interview on CNN and he was discussing just what we were, the status of the stimulus checks and the disagreements between the Republicans and the Democrats.
This COVID relief plan, what sort of progress did you make in that meeting? Where does it stand right now?
Well, I think it stands in a very good place. The point that the president made that has to be made over and over again is that we are living in a moment where tens and tens of millions of working class and middle class people are hurting. These are people who are worried about being evicted from their homes. They're worried about feeding their kids. They're worried about being able to afford to go to the doctor. They're worried about seeing their kids get a decent education. They're worried about the need for vaccinations to be distributed faster than they are right now. So we face a terrible, terrible moment in American history, probably worse than any time since the Great Depression. And what President Biden was clear about is that now is the time to keep faith with the American people. The people are hurting. We're not going to turn our backs on them. We're going to go forward, and we're going to start dealing with some of these major crises in an effective way.
As you know, Senator, the president has said he's open to making some stimulus checks more narrowly targeted. Right now, they start phasing out for people earning $75,000, couples earning $150,000. Are you willing, you personally, Senator, to lower the eligibility for these checks? These are people, some of whom have lost their jobs, but many of them are still working.
No. The issue is not, I think, going below $75,000 for an individual or $150,000 for a couple. The issue is that there is some spillover. If you have kids, that families making $250,000 or $300,000 may end up getting some assistance. And I think we can eliminate that. But the truth of the matter is, these income levels are based on people's income of a year ago or even 2 years ago. Many of those people are hurting today. And the truth is, You could be making a family making $125,000 with a bunch of kids. You are struggling today. So what we have got to do is understand this crisis impacts the middle class, it impacts the working class, it impacts lower income people. We are in this together. Meanwhile, the very, very rich are becoming phenomenally richer. So we need policies now where the government stands up for working families and the middle class and tells, by the way, the wealthiest people in this country, you know what? You're going to start paying your fair share of taxes.
It sounds like you and President Biden are on the same page on this.
I love me some Bernie, okay? Bernie will fight. He will get down and dirty to fight for what's right, and that's my kind of people. So I definitely agree with Bernie Sanders. As I said earlier, I know that just because people are making $100,000 does not necessarily mean they're balling out of control. We are all struggling in some form or fashion. So $100,000 earners are not out of the question. They should be considered as well. As of right now, as I said, single people making under $75,000 a year are expected to get a $1,400 stimulus check, and married couples that make under $150,000 a year are also eligible for stimulus checks. They are, like I said, working out the specifics of who gets what. As of right now, nothing is set in stone. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi did say that they think that they should be done with negotiations hopefully by February 22nd, and that we should have stimulus checks starting to come out by March 14th. So look out for that around that time frame. Now, let's get to a highly requested topic, student loan forgiveness. So I know people want updates on student loan forgiveness and what that looks like now that Biden is in office. I had no idea that people were paying mortgages to go to school. When I went to college, my mother passed away when I was very young. So by the time I got to college, they had some program, by the grace of God, that you had a deceased parent, it allowed for you to take part in a grant system. And I did not have to have a loan, I just received the grant. I did not finish, but I'm back in school now, so. But at that time, thank God, I did not accrue any student loans. However, everyone around me, it seems like, did. And I don't know how I missed that, but it's been brought to my attention just through conversation, because please understand that this show, in my opinion, was born from conversations with my friends. We're all adults. We all have these major conversations, but we don't see what real people are talking about on the news. So I'm like, let's create a platform where real people with real issues and real concerns can voice their opinion. And in our discussions, there's a lot of talk about student loans, but Biden has brought up forgiving student loans for quite some time. So now people are waiting and ready to see what he's really going to do. I didn't know that people were paying the amount of money that they are paying a month. They are paying rent and mortgage payments for student loans. It's absolutely ridiculous. Hope is on the way. The Democrats have introduced the proposal to cancel $50,000 of student loan debt. And I think that is amazing. I think that's going to help a lot of people live better. I think that people will be able to actually afford that dream house, that dream car. Some people might be able to get off of public assistance. Some people might want to start a new business. The options are endless. I think it's a win-win for everybody, and I think that it's long overdue. Nonetheless, the Democrats have started their proposal, and they announced it, and we are going to watch it, and I'm going to react to it with you guys. So, Democratic lawmakers making their announcement about their proposal.
We are here today to introduce our proposal to cancel $50,000 in student debt and take a huge burden off so many people in America. College should be a ladder up. For too many people, debt is the anchor that weighs them down, and they rarely overcome it.
Let me be clear. The student debt crisis has always been a racial and economic justice issue. But for too long, the narrative has excluded Black and Latinx communities, and the ways in which this debt has exacerbated deeply entrenched racial and economic inequities in our nation. These disparities didn't just magically occur. They are the consequences of generations of systemic racism, discrimination, and what I call policy violence that has systemically denied Black and Latinx families the opportunity to build wealth, forcing our families to take on greater rates of student debt for the chance at the same degree as our white counterparts.
Data show that canceling the student loan debt would result in greater home ownership rates, more housing stability, improved credit scores, higher, more small business formation, and more jobs. Canceling student loan debt is good for you, whether you have student loan debt or not, because it is good for our economy.
It is the result of a broken system that tells the students to get an education or go to college in order to have a stable life, but then does not provide the resources to afford that education. It is the result of a two-tiered system, one for the rich families who can afford tens of thousands of dollars for higher education, and another for the poor and the middle class who have to pay off that education for the rest of their lives. I always say America does not suffer from scarcity, we suffer from greed. This is an important first step, but we can and must go bolder. We cannot be too bold in responding to the pandemic and providing needed help to the American people.
That's right. That's right. Okay. I'm just so happy with the direction that we're headed in as a country, Republican or Democrat. This is going to benefit all of us. They are absolutely right. Student loans are out of this world. I mean, they're allowing children 18 to get into debt before they even can drink. That makes zero sense. From what I understand, student loans were birthed from men that were looking to get their children into Ivy League colleges. And with the income they were receiving at the time, they wouldn't be able to do that. And so that was just out of the question for them. So they created this business plan to have student loans created and have relationships with the bank. And it exceeded their expectations, but in the end, it's put us in a hole as America. We are in trillions of dollars in debt. I've asked people, you know, what is life like when you owe student loans? And I've heard one range from, I'm not paying anything at all. It goes beyond what I can even pay. Somebody else is saying they're making payments, but the payments are like pretty much house notes, car notes, things that they could be doing with that money to bridge the wealth gap between blacks and whites. Because if you have a white person that say their income household is $300,000 and they take out that loan, they can easily pay it off. But if you have a black household with a student that's coming out of a $50,000 household income, well, how do you expect for him to pay that back if he's trying to reach back and help his family and work hard and pay off the debts? It's like the playing field needs to be leveled, period. The only issue is that if they do the student loan forgiveness, it'll make the rich richer, which that's not something I think they really want to do. Because if you have somebody that's already financially stable, more often than not, they're not black or Latino, they will be getting their student loans axed, and that's just going to make their income bracket higher. Whereas the taxpayers, the little people, will have to pay for the student loan debt through their taxes. So they're trying to figure out the specifics of how that will work. I know people that have bought homes. I know people that have gotten cars and they've been able to move on with this whole student loan situation. They still have been able to live. Don't let student loans stop you from living. And I know it's really frustrating for parents who are in debt from student loans, and now they have students of their own that are about to enter the college world, and they have to figure out how they're going to pay for that. So they have a new debt added on before they even pay for their old debt. That is stressful in itself. What good news is, if you do have a student that is going to college, moving forward, Biden does have a better plan in place, which is great. We need a means to an end. My mother, before she died, she was bankrupt. My mother does not come from a wealthy background. She was the first in her family to go to college, which was to be commended. However, you know, once you get that college degree and you get that great job and you're helping your family, you're trying to sustain your own lifestyle, and then you got to pay student loans. So what happened? She died bankrupt. I'm sure student loans was her life story from the time she graduated until death, and that's just never good. So I would hope that we could avoid that happening to other people in the future, because life is so much more than just paying bills. You told people to go to college, do the right thing, get the job done, and you'll be rewarded. So reward the people and forgive the loans. Biden supports canceling student loan debt by $10,000 immediately, and he wants it a part of the COVID relief plan. The issue is that's only 15 million people. There's 67% other people who owe way more than $10,000. And so that's an issue that will also have to be resolved. So although it's baby steps, it's not quite where we need to be. So the Democrats and Biden have also recommended canceling federal student loans if you attended a public college or university or a private black college. And for those of you who work in public service, $50,000 would be forgiven of your debt over a course of 5 years, and it will be $10,000 of your debt removed automatically for your public service, so it'll total $50,000. How do we resolve this issue? Biden would like for families who make $125,000 or less be admitted to college for free if they attend a public university or college. I think we should give people a true opportunity at getting their education and enjoying getting their education without feeling like they have a burden. People work hard to have a good life, and they shouldn't have to come out and not have that. They should have the life that was promised to them in high school and explain, you do the right thing, you get the right thing. So we have to correct that mistake. Okay, so on to the super spreader. As you know, it was Super Bowl Sunday and people were partying it up. There were parties in the streets, there were parties in the house, and I'm saying, people, is it that serious? Like, if you missed the Super Bowl party, it is okay. You can go to the next one. Unfortunately, some people that attended Super Bowl events are not going to be with us next year, and that is exactly what Dr. Fauci and President Biden said would happen. People that we are with today may not be with us soon. I don't understand how you all let a football game that I thought we were supposed to be boycotting, but okay, how you would let them put you in harm's way and you would take that risk just to watch a game. I get that people are tired of being home. I want to go out and I want to do things too. I want to enjoy life with my daughter as normal, but if people aren't wearing masks and they're not doing what they're supposed to do to get us over the hump, then we'll always be stuck like this. It's like 1,000 bad apples spoil in a million bunches. It's not right. So we're gonna watch a clip from my favorite show to watch at night, Nightly News. I'm such an old lady. We're gonna take a look at what these football lovers were up to.
It's what health officials pleaded for the public to avoid. Crowded streets, bars, and restaurants fueling fears of a Super Bowl super spreader event. The large gatherings unfolding as millions of Americans watch the game, many with those they don't live with, as new variants spread across the country.
Having Super Bowl events in households is exactly the setup for this set of variants to take a stronger hold. And unfortunately, unlike before, the viral spread will happen much faster.
With the Brazilian variant now found in a new state, Oklahoma, 2 new studies, not yet peer-reviewed, offer troubling insight into the UK strain. Researchers believe the variant is doubling every 10 days. The risk of dying from the variant may also be 35% higher.
The encouraging news is that the vaccines that we're currently distributing right now are quite effective against that particular variant.
Having just marked the 1-year anniversary of the first COVID death in the U.S., our nation continues to close in on 500,000 fatalities. On Sunday, Congressman Ron Wright lost his battle at the age of 67. Respiratory therapist Rufino Rodriguez was just 6 months from retirement.
He's been my friend and my brother, my co-worker for
You see this man crying because people want to have football parties. You guys are selfish. I see these people at these Super Bowl events. That is absolutely insane. That is so rude to not even wear a mask. It's like, please respect me. If you don't respect yourself and you don't believe in COVID, that's totally fine. But please respect that I believe in COVID and I want to protect myself and my child. Just wear a mask. It's common courtesy at this point. It's like you can only account for yourself. That's why people could call me crazy, but I don't go anywhere. I order my groceries. You're not wearing a mask. I'm sorry. I can't help but think that you don't wear protection in any other aspects of your life. Thank you guys so much for watching In My Opinion tonight. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. Please wear your mask over your nose, and I will talk to you guys very soon. And remember, the world is small. Don't let little walls cage you in. Good night.